Hello, and welcome. It is, of course, Solo Sunday, where we will run Galactic Requiem. Here we are. So, of course, last time we had a slight problem. I went over it in our last stream, but I'll go over it here too. My apologies for the previous Solo Sunday being cut short. As you may know, I am broadcasting from on board my starship. Unfortunately, we were in FTL at the time, and we hit a small 1 in a million chance, and our ship hit a, FTL effect. Unfortunately, it cut our broadcast short. But, the downside is we are still in FTL. The upside is our conscript technicians have probably solved the problem. So it likely, probably, hopefully, won't happen again. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Let's see here. Of course, we will be taking it slow, because there's no need to rush through this. So, of course, we have all of our dice and everything we need here. We are going to watch the person we've been watching for a while, Juliana Aldous. However, there are some things we need to go over. Mostly because, last time, as stated, it was cut short, and it wasn't through my own choices or the choices of anybody. It was random happenstance, genuine FTL anomaly. Well, not really an anomaly, if you want to know. So we were fixing our FTL engines at the time. Usually that's no problem, even when you're in FTL, at least for us in our Imperial ship. When we happened to hit, we were also not in an FTL lane, and we hit an FTL weather effect. All three of those things combined immediately dropped us out of communications. So, yes, of course, all that will be covered in our. We're actually working on an FTL lore video that will come out eventually as a video someday. Anyway, so where to begin? Well, covering the things we missed. I say we missed, more so, we literally cut out mid explanation of what the events were going to be. So let's see whether we can't open our little sheet. Not the little one, in fact, the large sheet. And hopefully we'll remember to close it so everything becomes visible. Here we are. Probably should have left that open just so we can go to there from when we played that game, but I know that this is close to the bottom of the sheet. And our file is close to the bottom of the sheet. Because the top of the sheet, I'm not sure if we've seen it here, but the top of the sheet is or was for our previous adventurer, Eshadon. I believe that's his name. Don't know. Here we are. I believe we're a bit low. Here it is. Okay, let's zoom in. So, last time we were cut off right as we were generating a turning point. So, we know that there's an observer, someone at some point is being watched. It is either our meeting here, or it is going to be the meeting that we are going to have. Given the fact that a character is attacked to abduct, and we know that it is the target that we're searching for, and they've been taken by a gang or criminals. We know that help is offered for a price. I believe that's exactly where we got cut off last time. They offer the target for money. Basically, they'll give us the person we want for money. And the final, well, tension was rolled as none. Doesn't mean there isn't going to be tension, it just means there's not a specific tension plot point. And lastly, social. So that is a standoff. And that means in our chart, I mean, I know what a standoff means. It means, all parties are like, who's going to? Like, both parties are at an impasse and, but it might mean something different in regards to the way that our plot generator works. Because there are some things in our plot generator that don't work exactly as you would expect. Two or more character... Oh, accidentally hit a bad button there. Here we are. Two or more characters in a tense standoff. Yep, no, it's exactly what we expect. Okay. So likely, the party we're going to go and make a deal with there's going to be a standoff there, more than likely. We know that our symbols were a penguin and a boar. So, likely, I believe we've come to the rough conclusion that this is going to happen at a sports arena. A sports arena, yes. So, they are... So basically... So basically, our team, our group of mercenaries and adventurers, are going to be contacted by the people who have captured them, and they'll offer us the target for currency, of course. Galactic Standard credits, more than likely. Probably a large sum. And they will not hand over the target, but suggest a meeting to discuss the situation in a sports arena. Let's see here. Also, immediately, I'm not sure if it was here or in our unarchived section. Eventually, they might be uploaded, but Juliana Aldis, is that her name? Sometimes I forget her name. Yep, that's her name. Juliana Aldis, last time she was near a sports arena. It was in a retrieval, well, not really, yes, it was a trade mission for currency, a copious amount of currency. She was supposed to get data from a person. The person was also captured and was taken under a sports arena. And Juliana Aldis got shot real bad. Real bad. But I suppose we can't escape sports arenas. That is the fate of Juliana Aldis. But she will be skeptical once she receives the information. Because, I mean, not skeptical of the situation, but last time, which is not too long ago in game terms, I believe it was a week or two, she got shot real bad in a sports arena. Well, under a sports arena in like the storage and team preparation area and so forth. But, I mean, I would have gone with... See, the thing is, now that I'm thinking about it, do we really want to go with another sports arena? I mean, we already did that. But it's not like in life people have choices of such things. But also, does it make more sense that they'd go to a sports arena to make the deal? I mean, we know that there's going to be a penguin and a boar, and we can interpret that as, like, many things, but the things that come to mind are forest, and it's unlikely there's a forest in the middle of the city. We're not going to leave the city. Could be a park, but we are in the worst part of town. I mean, I suppose there is a park here. Let's see. Here we are. Let us go to the overworld map. Here we are. I mean, there is a park. Nope, wrong overworld map. Here we are. There is a large park. We're not anywhere near there. There is a large park here. So maybe then. But how does a penguin go into a park? Hence, I was thinking sort of, ice rink or something. It could also mean zoo, but given the area we're in, I doubt they'll have. I mean, it's not like they entirely wouldn't, but I'm skeptical of the fact that they'd have a reasonable zoo around here. Maybe it could be possible. Why not? Yes, a zoo. We'll go with a zoo. A fun, abandoned zoo. Yes. Much better than another sports arena. So yes, an old abandoned zoo. Ooh, and that could be a hideout of the location of the people that are making the deal. They sort of operate out of that territory. See, if we thought about it a bit more, and that's good. I like that. Let us make note of that. So it will be in the underground area, not in the above ground area. It will be. Let us go up to where we marked it. Here we are. And let us take notes. There we are. Meeting is in an abandoned zoo. Abandoned rundown zoo where the gang operates in and around. Very good. So of course, as stated, we will take things slow, which ideally means that we have more time to describe things and go about things and, you know. So let's see. I suppose we require a sort of map for this, which we can build as we go, and we can also build beforehand. Usually we work on some stuff on World Building Wednesday, but unfortunately that was skipped and because of the whole FTL problem, but Anyway, we take this slow, so it's not like we can't map and still talk about things while we go about it. So let's see, I suppose I have to actually open the program in which we use this in, which is Map Tools, of course, which I highly, well, it's one of my favorite programs for making maps. I think I've been over it before, probably. It has a few problems that I dislike, but it, to me, is better than every other mapping program that I've seen so far. I mean, admittedly, I haven't seen a lot of them. I've tried Map Tools. I mean, it was like one of the first digital mapping actual programs that I got for running tabletop RPGs. Back in the day, we did it on paper, Back in the day. But the digital era, people run TTRPGs on computers now, so Map Tools was one of the first I got, and it became my favorite. Anyway, we're not here on World Building Wednesday, in which I ramble about the different goods and bads of things and how they all work. We're playing the game. Let's see. Here we are. We go to the base screen, of course. This allows us to, let's check one thing. Okay, yes, no. I should edit these slightly. I mean, this is the older version. Let's see. We could just use this version. This version's slightly newer, but it has the same problem. The problem I'm talking about is, I suppose it's not really relevant, but I mean, you know. So, as you see here, a block. These blocks, I don't mean like a living block, I mean like the literal square, are used to determine sectors, basically, for certain things. It's 5 by 5, and generally it is, I believe, 500 meters by 500 meters. The problem in every square, I believe, is 100 meters. Anyway, problem is, back in the day, I used these. I mean, back in the day, I just made maps to any scale, but memory storage and the like. These blocks are usually placed as the background, but that makes it annoying to edit and select items when they're on blocks. For instance, if you see this, I can't click and drag. I have to actively click every single object on the thing, which isn't really a problem with map tools. It's a problem with how I go about it. I mean, there's no other way it could be done. I mean, of course, I could change those to the object layer, but that has a few problems. Anyway, so what I do nowadays is I make a grid of basically drawing grid to indicate distance, then I can paint a background in. Anyway, wholly irrelevant, not really important at all whatsoever. We need to make a park. Not a park, a zoo. We don't need to make it all. We just need to get some basic things down for the zoo. I feel we will be entering from this side. It's not really important to check with the bot or anything which side we're entering the map from, you know? I mean, it might be important in some cases, but in this one, I don't see us arriving in this side as worthy of a roll to check with the bot, you know? Anyway. There we are. So basically, we're going to be entering from this side. I believe the zoo will be obviously in the middle. There'll be some stuff up here and some stuff elsewhere. As soon as we decide one thing. The zoo will just go all the way down. Here we are. So it will go. Copy that there. And as this is the way we've set this up, I've been over why this goes over the edge before, so it's not important and we won't go over it, but there are mapping and distance reasons as to why it goes slightly over. Which has nothing to do with map tools specifically. It has to do with the differences between meters and feet, which cause slight problems in the map scale. So, yes, that's why it goes over on this edge and the bottom edge. But it's not really a concern. This is a tabletop RPG, so it's not like we're actually limited to the grid or any such thing. The map, of course, still actually goes on over here. If we wanted, we could just go anywhere, so, you know. Anyway, we're not going to go anywhere. We are getting paid, right? Yes, we are getting paid. I'm concerned because I don't recall how much we're getting paid. I know I noted it somewhere. Oh, we're zoomed in is why I'm forgetting my controls. Here we are. I was trying to zoom out by, you know, standard document control scroll wheel, and I forgot that the way I'm interacting with the screen is not the way that does that. So I was just sitting there like, it's zooming out, right? And, you know, my brain didn't catch up there for a second. Hmm. Surely I noted it somewhere. I will look for it. Unfortunately, if I can't find it, I believe I typed it down, but I'm not gonna have us sit here and search through this entire document to find it right this moment. It's not even relevant. But I'll search for it next time. Not here, but you know, in my spare time. I'll search for our payment. And if I can't find it, I will assume, given reasonable information, of course. But I'm pretty sure it's on the higher end. I'm pretty sure we're getting paid a few. I'm pretty sure we're getting paid at least tens of thousands of Galactic Standard credits. I forget whether it was. The problem is, I forget whether it was in the 100,000 range or if it was only in the few 10,000s range. Pretty sure, given the risk of the mission, it's in the 100,000s range. I'm pretty sure. Statistically, so I have a chart here. I mean, I can't open it, unfortunately. I don't have it set up to display. My apologies on that. But I don't even have the chart open here. Let's see. That would be under law and information. Here we are. Yes, we have a chart of payment for mercenary and criminal contracts. Of course, not all. This not mercenaries aren't necessarily criminals, but payment amounts are roughly the same-ish for such thing. Of course, it depends on your tiers and where you are in the organization and the like, but you know, it really depends. But basically, it's a chart for illegal work and single-pay contracts. We also have a full hourly wage contract chart, but that's not what we need here. Point is, I know that here, now that I have the chart open, it goes from 100 credits to 500,000 credits, depending on the tier of mission, of course. Specifically, there's different ratings of missions. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't found it, where our mission is rated on the, what the agreement was previously, but looking here, This is not a dangerous task that lasts for up to 2 days that will anger a minor organization and requires preparation and equipment. No, no, that would be 5,000 to 10,000. So we're probably in the 10 to 20 or 20 to 50 or 50 to 100 range. This isn't a super deadly mission, I don't think. So I doubt we're in the 100 to 500,000. We might be in the 50 to 100,000 range, probably. I'd have to double check our things, because I might have previously considered it the highest tier, but that's why I'll look later. Anyway. Let's see here. So, we know that we have a, let me make sure. Yes. So, we have to, well, make the zoo. Well, we can make it as we go, as I said, but we at least should have an entrance to a degree, you know? Okay, let's see. What building blocks will we need? These, of course. These will be our primary building blocks. That's why they're actually up here, because they're used in the majority of city making, given the fact that we make this usually a building and a interior of a building walkway. Of course, sometimes back in the day, we would use different colors and so forth to represent things, but we're not going to, for ease of use and mapping in the thing, when we'll cover it someday, probably. Like I keep saying, I'm not sure if I've said it here yet, but as I keep saying, on occasion, someday, we'll get into making a detailed map like I used to always make. Super detailed. But for now, as we're in the middle of stuff, we'll just make a standard. Would it be here or more south? Of course, we're going to edit this, but mostly I'm wondering whether we want the entrance to the zoo to be in the corner or in the sort of middle area. We shouldn't spend too much time on it. So here's what we'll do. We will just roll a physical die because it's not important. And it's a bit of a hassle to open the roller when we're not doing things. And we basically only use the roller for things that actually are important to, character actions. I will be rolling a D6. On a 4, 5, or 6, it will be south. 1, 2, or 3, it will be north. And that's a 2. So it's going in the corner, which will be our zoo entrance. There we are. Let's see here. Now to edit these slightly. And then, once again, I don't want to spend too much time on the preparing. We are, of course, taking our time in running the game so we can describe things and not rush and the like, but still, I don't want to spend forever making a map on the game on the day we're supposed to play the game, you know? Here we are. There, perfect. So, we might as well describe it when we get there, but what I'm thinking is, so you enter here, and there's a sort of area over here in which normally, you get your tickets or whatever. here is like sort of displays and so forth, and you can see them through the window, of course, you know? Anyway, we'll figure that out more as we get there. Here we are. We're going for... Oh, I've messed up. Here's what we'll do. I made a little mistake. Let me quickly fix that, and then we'll get to it. Where did I... Did I not make a copy? Because this one... Zoo. Encounter. There we are. That way we cannot miss it. Now let us go back to... Here? Nope, wrong one. It was... Here. And we will quickly delete all of that because this is supposed to be a template map. Okay, there we go. So back to the underground as we, actually get to the story bits and the like. So let's see. First of all, in the meeting, they will discuss their situation while the other two are getting healed. Four damage minus 2 AD. 6 damage. Not bad. Okay. While the meeting is going on, well, the meeting will end. It's not going to last the hours of it. But these two will basically go to start preparing to search the city, being Juliana Aldous and our assistant, well, our ally mercenary, will basically thank the boss for the meeting and head out to prepare to head out into the area and to check in their new base for a while, because this will be their operating base while they search for their target. Let me double check our notes, because we do have a running clock. If you do not recall, that would be here. How many times do we need to increase it? One so far, I believe. Oh. Sorry about that. Here we are. So, how was I saying? Yes, we have a running clock. I'm pretty sure it's only ticked up once so far. But our team will begin preparing, which will tick it up one more because we're not actively out there searching. We're going to prepare slightly. However, that clock might become irrelevant given our event. So, let's find out if it does. Let's see. So, while we're preparing, checking our gear, which I actually do wish to check. Let's see. You learn all this. Full health. How's our armor looking? It is not damaged. Nope, we're not wearing that. We're wearing this. which is also not damaged. It was our car that was shot last time. Well, the time before last time, but it was our car that was shot up, and that's getting repaired. We basically got full ammo. We're looking good, equipment-wise. Got some paperback novels. Why? Who knows? Can Juliana Aldous download them digitally? Yes. But, I mean, this is, of course, a sci-fi future we live in here. She could literally just download the story directly into her brain and know the information. Just literally know the book. But as we've basically set up from basically the first time she went on a plane from point A to point B, she bought a paperback novel. And then the second time she went on a plane, she did too. So it's just sort of a character thing. Juliana Aldous likes buying physical books. Of course, not everybody has a brain in there. Not a brain, a chip in their brain. Not everybody has a chip in their brain. But it's common in the galaxy. So lots of stuff is digital. Basically, I suppose we could talk a little bit about the law. Basically, neural data pads. There are physical data pads and neural data pads. What is a data pad? A data pad is literally just a computer. And that's what the data net is. The data net is sort of like the internet, which is, over there in the corner of our screen, you see data net. That's basically the internet. The galactic internet, if you will. Anyway, basically, despite having, lots of people have neural data pads, computer chip in the brain makes them better at basically everything. But it makes them hackable if they're online. The downside is, well, you're better at everything while you're connected to the online. If you disconnect from the online, you lose all those nice buffs. So, but while you're online, you're also hackable. And depending on what you have with you, that can be super good or bad. Anyway, Juliana Aldous is, of course, online, on the net, with an AI assistant. So that gives her a large bonus on many checks, technically. Not all checks, but basically anything involving knowledge or information or things like that. I believe she gets just a flat plus 4 to 6 bonus. I'd have to double check the rules on that. But there's a bonus for being connected to the net, and then there's an additional assist bonus for having an AI constantly assisting. Which, even if she disconnects from the net, she still technically gets the AI assistance bonus. Because the AI is not a networked AI. I mean, of course, you could have a net AI that literally is residing on the net and assists you. That is an option. But specifically, she has a actual AI in her neural data pad. So basically, even when offline, there's that bonus. Of course, the AI can be online, but I mean, only if she's online. Because it's inside of her neural data pad. If the AI is online, she's online. That's the way that works. Anyway. Despite being able to be hacked when you're online, of course, neural data pads are actually exceptionally safe. As long as you're not a fool when it comes to the data net. Because basically, the worst types of hacks, a tier 3 hack, is, or just any hack technically, but a tier 3 hack automatically, they have to get your hack HP to 0, and it automatically alerts you, and you are automatically given the chance to disconnect from the net. The downside is if you auto disconnect, you obviously can't reconnect for a while, and you are basically dazed or stunned or something. I forget what the exact status effect is, but it basically gives you a debuff for a while. So it's hard to achieve a tier 3 hack, but it's not like, oh, they disconnected, that was worthless of a check. They're now either stunned or something. And of course, there are ways around that. If you can get a file into their datapad and get them to run it, basically, they don't get an automatic disconnect from the net because the file is in their datapad. So what are they going to do? They can't, even if they disconnect from the net, that's no luck. The file's in there. And there's other such situations like that. For instance, there's an entire, as I think I've been over before, there's an entire hacking rule system for how it all works and all the things. There's rules for everything. Anyway, we are not getting far because we're rambling too much. I know that I said we'd take things slow, but this is a bit too slow. So let's pick things up with actually playing the game. So they'll go over their equipment. Juliana will, of course, talk to her. Oh, I was looking in the wrong area. Juliana will, of course, talk to her mercenary buddy and say, your troops are going in, well, your associates are going in for surgery and the like, getting healed. Do you think they'll still be able to work on this situation, or should we leave them behind? I mean, they are part of your team, so it is your call. Of course, I'd rather have more guns available to us down here, given the, given the situation that we're in, kind of surrounded by enemies and the like. I'd rather have your associates with us. That way, we have more firepower or backup, or even just skills to bring into any situation. But I don't want to force them into, such a situation if they're injured or, the mercenary will nod. Let's check his attitude. Normally, as we've been over, as I say literally every time, well, I find the book also. Normally, we roll any actual skill checks or anything related to allies or enemies. Here, above me in the dice roller, for both fairness and visibility and fun. It's always fun to see such things. However, when we roll things that involve opening other charts, that involves the like, we roll, of course, with physical dice, mostly because it is annoying to flip between files and our roller. There's no easy way to go about it, unfortunately, so here we are. A 5 and an 8. Okay. He will say, what we've rolled is specifically that the NPC wants to focus on the plot point. That's literally what we rolled, focus plot point. So he will say, we should head out, but my forces can handle it. They've been in far worse, and while being healed and the like is good, the sooner we find our target, the better. As soon as they're able to move out, we'll have them move out and help us in it. And Juliana will nod. But the boss will call us back in. The Joyous boss. Obviously, it takes a while. We are considering that time has passed. It's not, they didn't just have that situation, that conversation. They had that conversation, checked their gear, and basically planned out a course. You know, basically what they were doing there, not only having that conversation. Like I said, we are taking things slow, so we might as well cover such things. So basically, while they talk of that, then they'll check their gear, check their ammo, because they were in a bit of a fight. And then they'll have a quick look, basically, at the best map of this area that they have available to them, and basically say, we know that they crashed on the top side here. We are, of course, in the underground version of this map, but we know that they crashed on the top side here, and likely went into here. That's what all reports indicate. So we have a rough idea of when they crashed. Problem being, this is gang territory, and there is a literal transit line here. So making a circle of territory is not going to be as easy. We can't be like, they could have gotten this far. There are vehicles available, and there's literally a transit line here, so that makes that difficult. However, we do know that likely the transit line is controlled by various gangs. So our plan would be, I mean, things are going to change. We could just skip all this. I'm not going to. I like the detail. That's why we take it slow and the like. But we theoretically could skip all this because of what's about to happen, but we're not going to. So we come up with a plan to basically have a sort of gathering, sort of ask around loosely around here and with the transit area to see whether any specific groups or gangs, or carefully, of course, has any information about the crash and if there were anybody arriving from it. You know, obviously on as low key as possible. So that's roughly the plan they make, and they'll go over it a bit in sort of a way to determine what's the most optimal way to search. Not specifically what's the most optimal questions to ask, but what's the most, you know, the route that gives us the best chance of not letting information slip through us due to the sort of time limit. You know? Okay. So they'll spend basically one time unit doing that, which is a waste of a time unit, but it would theoretically give them more detail on how to go about it and give us a better chance of success. Normally what we would do, this is a irrelevant roll, probably. I don't fully know because the bot runs the things, so. But what we'll say is basically, I don't know how to put this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to roll a tactics check for how well we've done at planning this out. Would that be a tactics? Let me double check. Because it is a skill check that would apply to this. I'm pretty sure it's either tactics or analysis. It's either tactics or analysis. But could it be oh, it might be investigation. Technically, investigation is more accurate, and tactics, let's see. So investigation, can tactics apply? Not as much. Maybe loosely tactics could apply. Because tactics covers more military planning, but you could consider that it hunting down a target falls under that. So tactics would apply, technically. There are lots of things you could argue apply. Survival could apply because survival has tracking. There's several things that could apply. Unfortunately, we can only roll one, and each one would give us slightly different information. To be fair, each one would give us slightly different information. So we'll roll a tactics. Let me make one quick check before we roll. We will roll here, of course, as it's a character roll. The thing I want to check first is who's the assistant and who's the primary. Tactics 2 for Juliana. Here we are. Tactics 4 for our assistant. Well, our mercenary. So he will roll tactics, we'll assist. I believe that is going to be at a +5. Now let us roll. We'll roll for our ally first, because he's the primary. Here we go. Okay. That's just brilliant. A 1. A 1. We're not going to assist. I mean, there's no point. I mean, we'll roll an assist check, but that's a fail. That's a fail. That's a fail. And that's a crit. Wow, would you look at that? We should, that's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. This right here is why we roll character checks on this roller. This right here. I'm not sure what the, congrats, we definitely get a +2 on that assist check. Wow. Doesn't matter though, because it's an assist check. So, yes. A 1. I know. As I said, this check probably doesn't matter. The fact that it rolled a 1 means it does in fact matter. Because the enemy, well, not really the enemy, but the world, will spend a world action die against us, making that from an error into a critical failure. The enemy is on to you, and they're using your tactics against you. As this isn't a full combat action, what occurs is immediately the clock ticks up by 1. We gain no benefit whatsoever. And the enemy move closer to securing their goals. We rolled the one thing that made that, well, one of the 2 things that would have made that check actually matter. And we rolled the worst of the 2 things. There was what? A 2 in 20 chance of that roll mattering. One of those would have been good and the other would have been bad. We rolled the one bad one. Where's our clock? Here we are. That immediately ticks up to 3 out of 12. So, by planning, we've wasted 2 ticks of time instead of 1 and gained absolutely nothing. Well, lost a time tick, but you know. Anyway. So, our plan is just absolutely the worst. Anyway, we are called back into the boss's office. Heading in there. Let's see here. Heading in there, the boss will call the team back in and say, I've got some information. The boss is, and as I recall, and as I have luckily noted, he is a delightful fellow. He'll call them back in and he'll say, I'm glad you're still here. I have a bit of an update, as you asked me for information about it. I've gotten some prime details. I mean, they're not the most ideal, but they're prime details. And of course, Juliana Aldous and the mercenary will nod and listen as the boss continues. I have direct information on your target. A local gang has come forward trying to sell your target off. For money, of course. They want an amount of credits for the target. And they're willing to discuss such things. Well, they've given an offer and are, well, willing to have a transfer at the old zoo if we're willing to pay. I, of course, have agreed. He shrugs. I thought it'd be best if we all agreed to deal with this. I mean, he shrugs. I hope I haven't overstepped myself here. And the Juliana and the mercenary will nod, you know, not calling him out on it or anything. He's our assistant and we're in his base and he is a gang boss that could likely have us killed right now if he wished. Luckily, our organization is paying him, so, you know, but we're not going to anger him. He is a gang member of one of the, not, let me put it this way. They have a form of honor. They're not, you know, wild and crazy, but it's best not to annoy the gang boss or call him out on such things, even if he is or does seem very nice. So we'll just let it slide that he's come to this arrangement for us. As he says, well, I mean, if you want to know his reasoning behind coming to the arrangement, he is getting paid to assist us. He is not getting paid less if we or the organization spends money. This is the logic behind it, by the way. He's not getting paid less if the organization spends more money on it. He's getting paid an amount to assist us. The longer we search, the more he has to assist us. Not that he wouldn't, he's a very seemingly kind and delightful individual, but the longer we search, the more we have to stay here, the more his people have to assist us. He does not lose money if our organization or we lose money. He's getting paid a fixed amount for it, basically. He's getting paid for his troubles. So, if the organization pays a large amount for the target. Doesn't matter to him. The sooner we're out of here, the sooner he doesn't need to spend his own resources on this operation, and he gets to keep the entire pay without spending as much of his resources on it. So obviously he wants to basically finish the mission as soon as possible, much like we do. So he will basically be like, yes, we'll deal with you in this, because that gets the situation over, and he can focus his forces on crime and not spending resources on it, you know? So, let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying to bring up my sheet for reasonable amounts. Where is our amount? I suppose we'll roll not a calculation die, a scale die. Assuming I can find our... Here we are. Okay. So, we're rolling a scale die. What this basically does is will just give us a tier. And that is going to be a d8. And it's rolled 6. 6 on this is slightly above average. So, a 1 would be basically none. Not really literally none, but like a extremely low amount. 2 would have been very low. 3 would have been low. 4's average. 5's average. 6 is good. 7 is very good. And 8 is excellent. So 6 is good. They want a good amount of money for the target, which is good for us because that probably means they don't entirely know the significance of this. They know that people have been searching for the target. They know that the government's looking. Well, they know that the police are looking. They know that a few gangs are looking. But they don't know who this is. So they'll go with not the average sort of ransom amount, but a good ransom amount. Because there are people looking for this target. They're like, must be somewhat important. Probably can get a bit above average because this isn't a normal citizen, more than likely. Now, this is guessing, but they probably think, because the bot will determine, the bot could say, they knew all along, it's a betrayal, or the bot could do whatever. But my guess right now, see, that's the great thing about this. The bot is the GM. I say it's a bot, it's a series of charts, but the bot's the GM, so we don't actually know where the plot will go or what will happen. So I assume, my guess is, I'm putting things together, and my guess is, they probably think this is an upper-class citizen. There was a shuttle crash, and everybody's looking. Well, some people are starting to look. There was a police force sent into the gang-controlled territory, and some of the gangs are starting to look because, I mean, a shuttle crash. Not everybody has a personal shuttle. It's a bit more than a hover car or something, so, you know, could be somebody slightly upper class. Could be somebody super fancy, but could be somebody slightly upper class. I mean, if it was somebody super fancy, they likely would have sent in more assault forces than 2 squads. So they probably think it's a slightly upper class individual. So let's see. Above average. Not ideal. I will roll one more die. This was actually two more die, but you know, I'm going to be rolling 2d4. Because the minimum I want it to be is 20,000. Makes sense the minimum would be in the, you know, the category starts at 20,000, so. And literally two ones. Which is good because I didn't want it to be 10,000, but it's also on the lower end. I was expecting it to honestly be higher, but we've rolled minimum, so they want 20,000 for the target. That is their current negotiation. Of course, this might all change. It's very likely it'll change, but they're going to start with 20,000. Our forces will, well, he'll say, I've made the arrangements. All you need to do is give the money over, and they'll hand over your target. Juliana and the mercenary will agree. I mean, it's a good deal. It's a bit sketchily of a low deal. It is definitely shadily low. But we'll take it. So Juliana and the he'll also tell them where it is, of course, in their territory, in their zoo, and at that, hearing it's definitely in their territory, in like their stronghold, Juliana will of course be a little bit concerned, as will the mercenary. Juliana will look to her mercenary ally and say, "For that, I'd really want your allies there." The mercenary that's with us will look over at the boss and say, "Did they make the offer just to you?" And he'll shake his head and say, "No, it's an open offer. They're even offering it to the government." At that, the mercenary will look over back at Juliana and she'll nod and say, "We're definitely going to need all of our people there, and I'd prefer if they were healed, but I don't think we have time if they give it to multiple people." Here we are. He'll nod. They'll agree on that. Let's see. Our mercenary will ask the boss whether we can have some of his forces. Basically saying, let's see, basically saying, given the situation, we would like some support of your forces in this. It is a, you made the deal, and it is a situation. Of course, we'll provide the funds, but we want you to send some forces with us. If we're going to go there and the information's been given to other gangs and so forth, then there might be more people than us four there if we bring our own injured allies. So ideally, we'd like some of your people to assist. Let's see whether the gang boss is willing to assist. First things first, that is going to be an impress check from our Hmm. Let's see. Before we roll, let's do a quick check. Here we are. Wow, 0 impress. It's definitely going to be him. Our ally has 0 impress. That's just absolutely lovely. Okay, he's going to make the check because Yelena Aldis's charisma is -1. Well, it's 8, which is -1. So, there's one other thing. Do we have... I mean, this is... No, we're not going to magic it. Even if we had the magic, it's probably not the best idea to use magic on our ally, which we don't even have the ability of. Oh, enhance ability. Which would bring our charisma to 12 if we did it. That wouldn't be attacking our ally. But, I mean, that's not really worth it, I don't think. Not the waste of mana so early. So just a pure check. This is 1d20 flat. 5 versus a resolve check of 1. I thought we were going to lose. I actually thought we were going to lose. Let me check the boss's resolve. Nope, it's a natural 1. Let's check a failure of a resolve check. Resolve is used to counter impress or influence and the like, and also to morale and concentration and a lot of things. Resist impress. Here we are. Yeah, our ally will immediately throw down an action die. So this is treated as if... Let's see. Yes, it's basically treated as if our ally has gotten a critical success on an impress check, which is the counter to that. Let's see. Checking a thing real fast. With a critical success, the target actually is going to agree, and their disposition towards us improves. Okay. So he will definitely agree to send forces with us. Which is good. That means we will have some gang backup. He will, of course, be like, of course, I'll send forces. I made the deal. I'll send forces as long as you pay for the target. I'll send you with the team. Yes. And so, of course, we will thank him for his continual generosity, which he has shown the entire time we've been here. We'll thank him for that. And then prepare to head out. Let's see. I am going to go and make some coffee. I will be back, and then we will continue. But I'm going to quickly, as fast as I can, go and make some coffee. Well, I'll have my conscripts make the coffee. I'll make sure they don't break anything while they do, but, it will be a minute or two. I will be back. Hello. There we are. Of course, we return with coffee. Well, it'll be prepared in a minute or so. But we return nonetheless. Let's see here. So, now that our coffee time is prepared, I suppose we get back to it. So, last time, well, literally minutes ago, I mean, admittedly, it did take a bit longer than expected, but you know. So, we meet up with our injured allies. And some gang members. That's our gang member token there. Oh, I suppose we should roll another d8. This one to determine number of gang members we receive. No. We will roll a d6. Same chart, but we'll roll a d6. The d6 on the d8 chart, in this case, will represent 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. We will not have 2 or 1 because we critted. Well, because what we got counts as a crit and their assistance. And that's a 2. Which translates to a 4, which is average. Okay. So likely they will send us with an average amount a full squad of 10. 10 gang members to assist us in acquiring our target. Not bad, not the best, but not bad. I mean, we are going there to just make a deal, I say, full well knowing that the chart, I mean, admittedly, I don't know what will happen, but the chart does say, here we are. I don't know entirely what will happen, but the chart does say standoff. So we can assume that more than likely, I mean, we don't know in character, of course. Our character has no clue. You learn all this, not an idea. Us here in space, or wherever you are receiving this broadcast, me here in space and you wherever you are, know that there's probably going to be a standoff. Probably. The bot could change that, but we know that there's probably going to be a standoff. Poor Juliana. Not a clue. So, the group will assemble. We have 2 lightly injured people. Do we even want to bring them? Because one of them is dazed. and more injured than the other. We'll leave that mercenary behind. Obviously not without leaving him behind totally, but we're not bringing him on this mission. Not when he's injured like that. This guy's injured, but he's 2 action die down. But we'll bring him. Action die, all important, but less... We'll bring him. Action die, being 2 action die down, does mean that he has no way of resisting any injuries that occur to him. But sometimes that is what happens. So, our team will begin heading towards the zoo. Of course, they'll have a quick conversation about it, but they will prepare to head to the zoo and handle the situation. Let's see here. Oh, I'll just copy them over. It is a different map. Yeah, well. So, traveling there in a series of cars. Specifically, 4 cars, which I can hopefully grab. Nope, wrong one. Did I not place? Oh, there it is. Where is the map we were just... Oh, yep, bottom. There we are. Just in case these are relevant, because I don't actually know what will be relevant. There we go. We will, of course, spread them out slightly. And we'll get to the actual bot use in a second. Of course, not all cars are green, nor the same make or build. I just don't want to spend forever finding different car tokens. Here we are. There we go. I suppose we can ask a question to our bot. There's an important one to ask. Oh, bot. Is there... Okay, we can't ask them whether other people have arrived before us. That is not information we can know. That would be against the rules of asking questions of information we can't know. What we can ask is are there a lot of cars here before us? That's 2d10, technically it's 3d10, 1 for chaos. Yes, chaos. A roll of a 1 does not necessarily indicate chaos, but it is below our chaos number. So, yes, chaos. Now let's see. 4 and 1. 5. No. There are not a lot of cars here. And 4 and a 1, besides being a 5, which means no, because even if we added 4 for likelihood, that'd still be a 9, which is no. It does mean that chaos does not occur, because they're not both even, or both odd, or both the same. So, yes, there's actually not a lot of cars when we arrive. Doesn't necessarily mean there aren't a lot of people here. There's underground parking and the like, and lots of places to go. And I mean, we're already underground, but there's underground parking, and like, there's lots of places they could be. But there's not a lot of vehicles when we arrive. Okay, so pulling up towards driving down the streets in their cars, one loaned by the gangsters to our forces, our mercenary will ask his buddy, "You sure you're up to this? I mean, it's a bit late to be asking now." Assumedly he asked before. He says, "You could wait in the car. Prepare for, in case something goes wrong." He goes, "No, no, I'm fine. This isn't, you know, this isn't the first time we've been shot at. It'll be fine." He'll nod. "Okay, but if you need to, he'll nod. Juliana will say, "I don't like how cheap they're making the transfer. I also don't like I don't like how cheap they're making this transfer." The mercenary will nod. "It is a low amount. Even for some fancy person, it's a low amount." The the third merc will nod. Let's see. As they drive through the underground areas, they follow the tracks before the tracks break off south. And the team heads to, well, the convoy, it's not a real convoy, but the convoy heads over to the sort of more entertaining area of this part of the town. Lots of stalls and lots of the lights here, because we are underground, lots of the lights appear to be either very dim or not working. A lot of the storefronts don't have lights on. Lots of the houses don't have lights on. There's lots of boarded up windows, lots of boarded up things. This area of the place is basically abandoned. I mean, people live here, yeah, but this is heavily this gang's territory, and a lot of it is abandoned. Not by them, but by the former occupants. As it's been this way for a long while. So, heading down, we will make one check on our dice roller. 11 versus 15. We don't see them, that gang. We don't see the gang. We're not when we're there, I mean when we're heading there. We don't see many of their members. We don't know whether that means they see us, but we don't see them, or they might not be there, but we don't see them as we make our way through their territory. They are not doing a show of force, at least not here. So, we will make our way towards the destination. One second, my apologies. My coffee is almost done brewing. Unfortunately, it is made manually, as our conscripts have destroyed the machine. So it does take, a while. Which is why we make it slightly earlier than we used to. We used to start making coffee at about now, as opposed to when we did before. But that's mostly because now it takes longer to make. Anyway, I will be right back. It will literally just be a couple of seconds while I finish making the coffee. And there we are. Our coffee is prepared. Let's see. So, yes, the area is run down. Many lights are not working or dim. A lot of the places nearby appear to be abandoned. And we pull up at a zoo. A large, not necessarily too big, but a reasonable sized zoo. One of the reasons it's probably not extremely large or average size for a zoo. I'm not sure distance wise whether that's zoo scale. I mean, they have to have enclosures for animals and the like. Maybe it's zoo size, I'm not sure. Didn't know this was going to be a zoo beforehand, so I didn't, you know, do any research about the exact scale of zoos. But more than likely, given the place, there are multiple layers to this zoo, given that this city goes up and down, above and below ground. There are probably a few layers, which I imagine makes a real amazing flying creature area. Can you imagine that? Because if it's up and down, and it's all inside, you could have an entire, basically, lowering enclosure which were on the ground as animals. Then you could have an entire air section. And of course, this is, as we said before, sci-fi. So of course, there's all sorts of sci-fi air creatures. Floating jellyfish and, I don't know, all sorts of things. Obviously, not anymore, more than likely. I mean, in the galaxy, sure. I mean, in this zoo, given that the zoo's abandoned, it's unlikely that there are any animals in here. Or are there? Or are there? Wouldn't that be something? That is so stereotypical boss thing. The enemy boss of the gang within an old abandoned zoo that has basically no animals in it, probably has some animals there that he uses for like some, like, throw them in the enclosure or something. It's so apt, you know? It's very main villain. Obviously, this isn't our main villain, but it's so main villain to do that. I don't care what the bot says. We're not asking the bot. The enemy gang boss. He bases out of a zoo. He definitely has some animals there, despite it being abandoned, and they're probably extremely dangerous animals. Probably animals from off-world. Probably from a death world. He probably has death world animals here. We're saying that. Yes, yes. He definitely has lower tier Death World animals here. Obviously not high tier Death World animals. No, that would be ridiculous. We don't want an outbreak of corpse spiders. No, no. But he probably has some deadly Death World hunters, specifically animals, not people who hunt on Death Worlds, here that he has some enclosure that he throws his enemies into. We're going to say so because, I mean, doesn't matter what the bot says, he's that we got her. Like, come on. Come on. That's how it has to be. So yes. That will be our that will be that. That will be the plan for that. Hmm. As much as I've been wanting to go on for longer, like the amount of time I used to go for, I think we'll call it here for the simple reason I want to set up this encounter. Not entirely myself, of course. Of course, we're going to leave a lot to the bot. But I want to basically actually map the zoo out, make some enclosures, get some stat blocks down there, make some things set. Definitely a map for sure. Get some things set, provide some quality to the upcoming encounter, you know? And we'll work on that together on World Building Wednesday. But assuming, you know, nothing terrible goes wrong, that way, and we'll probably also work on it on Miscellaneous Friday or something. That way we can have a good sort of... I just feel like this encounter, I know to me it feels like we didn't get a lot done, and I have been wanting to go for longer, but I think we'll call it there, so we can set up for this thing, because I want this thing to be, I don't know, set up for, I want cover, I want corridors, I want encounters, I want to go over all that stuff and set it up to be something, you know? And I'll show off, oh, I'm going to make a note here. Set up blind units chart, which we'll go over what that means and what that all is on our World Building Wednesday, I suppose. Well, I mean, I'll talk about it real fast. Basically, because I want to set up parts of the encounter and details, we're going to set up a chart, a series of charts. These charts will basically say whether these encounters happen or not. Basically, we'll make certain rules with probabilities. For instance, will this occur? There's this much % chance yes, this much chance no. Basically, on a roll, does this occur or not? And it basically keeps things random because we don't know what will happen, but it allows us to ensure that there are certain things that are likely to occur. So it still keeps the bot in control. We don't entirely know what will happen ourselves, but it allows us to design some encounters. It allows us to design some encounters, basically. And we'll work on that on World Building Wednesday. Anyway, like I said, as much as I want to go on for longer, we'll call it there so we can prepare this to be an actual good, full-on encounter thing. Anyway, so we'll get back to it next Wednesday. We'll do that. We'll work on the world building and make the encounters and so forth. Probably the same on Miscellaneous Friday. Not sure. Never sure on Miscellaneous Friday. That's why it's miscellaneous. And then on Solo Sunday, we'll run this encounter and see what happens. Okay. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you all enjoyed, even though it feels like we didn't get much done. I mean, there's one more thing for us to do before we actually head out. And that is, let us add our experience. Let me check my GM sheet. Okay. We made checks, but it wasn't exceptionally difficult. One could argue that it was trivial to midline. Almost always a task with consequences and the like is at least easy, not trivial. So it could be easy or midline. Of course, we interacted. We thought this entire thing is RP, so that's one experience for that. Story events happened. The plot moves forward. Brings us to 64 XP. We're halfway there. Okay. Thank you all for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed. We'll try and do better next time. And we'll work on this encounter on World Building Wednesday. And we'll, have the encounter on next Solo Sunday, where there will likely be lots of skill rolls, some discussion, and probably a bunch of combat. Thank you all for stopping by.